Good afternoon. I'm Liesl Riddle, the Associate Dean for Graduate Programs at the George Washington University School of Business. Thank you to all who continue to serve on the front lines of this pandemic. It's my pleasure today to welcome you, our students, our faculty, our staff, and our parents to this episode of the George Talks Business series. I'm delighted to introduce our guest today, the winning team of the 2020 GW New Venture Competition. Please join me in welcoming the co-founders of People Powered Products, a sustainability startup. Joining us today is Ken Ganetta, an active duty officer in the United States Army and a recent GWSB alum. This May, Ken graduated with a master's in business administration and a master's in human resource management from the GW School of Business. Prior to joining the Army, Ken gained experience in healthcare and personal insurance industries. We are also joined by Skye Kussman, an alumna of the GW Global MBA program, where she was a recipient of the Forte Fellowship and the GMBA Outstanding Student Contributor Award. In addition to the startup, Skye has over 7 years of experience in financial management, operations, and marketing across multiple industries. I'm also delighted to introduce Carrie Ganetta, who currently serves as Principal Sustainability Analyst with a major insurance company and has a diverse portfolio of work that includes service, analytics, lean management, and sustainability. Thank you all for joining us today. This is really a great opportunity to learn more about the whole entrepreneurial process. So, Ken, I'd like to start with you first. Can you first explain to us what is the problem that People Powered Products is trying to solve? What's the value proposition?
Sure. So throughout the process of kind of developing this and going through the market discovery process and figuring out what people were looking for in sustainability solutions, what we found time and time again was most sustainability solutions are very passive. They don't get people involved. Think of solar cells, wind power, those types of things. They do their thing. They're really great, but it doesn't take anyone really doing anything to make that happen. And so when we talked to a bunch of companies, we found that they wanted solutions that got their employees involved, the people that used their buildings involved. And that's really where we came up with the idea of turning this into something that's not just producing energy, but producing energy in a way that people can feel like they're actually part of the solution. They're actively doing something. And so with this product, when you think about, opening and closing a door, for example, it's a very simple thing. We do it all the time, and we don't think of necessarily that contributing to anything. But in this way, what we've been able to do is take that activity and turn it into providing the electricity, for example, for a handicap access door motor. And so now when somebody's opening the door, they can say, hey, my action is directly contributing to this other product that's helping somebody else out. And that's really kind of the powerful piece of this that we found that connected with a lot of the building owners and companies that we talked with.
That's really fascinating. I love the idea of the contribution to something that's greater. Carrie, if you could tell us a little bit about how did this venture get started? I know everybody would love to hear what was the actual very beginning.
Sure. So the idea really kind of has evolved as we went through the process, but it definitely started as one of those moments, just like a lot of ideas, where it's just kind of like, oh, wouldn't this be cool? So Ken is in the military, and that is a very physical task. And unfortunately for him, that has meant he has had some injuries. Over the past couple years, he's had multiple procedures on his foot, which had let him be using a knee scooter for a long time. And so as he's been rolling around to mostly on campus, but plenty of other places that he went, he was required to use handicap doors. It's very difficult to get yourself inside the building on a regular door with the knee scooter. So what we often found though was that the handicap doors were not always operational. Sometimes you'd see like broken wiring or something else just indicating that they weren't working. And that's where it was one of those moments where he was kind of just like, what if there was another power source or backup that could help sustain the handicap doors and make sure that they kept working? And so as he's, sitting there thinking of that, he's also looking over at the other doors and seeing the mechanism swing back and forth and all these people going in and out of that door, and just kind of came together and was like, maybe you could capture the energy from opening the regular doors and transfer that into a battery operated type system that would then just keep the handicap door operational. And so we then, when we were out, we kind of just kept our eyes on high traffic areas, trying to see like, was this something that would be feasible? Would that be something that people would think is cool? And at the same time, that's when the new venture competition was starting, and Lex had been going around to all the different classes, and he had been to a few of Ken's classes talking about the competition. And he ended up having a few conversations with Ken directly and was really excited about his idea and really encouraged him to enter the competition. So, we just dove in. And then, like Ken was saying, as we went through the market research, we talked to a lot of people. And that's where it kind of really evolved and has multiple solutions now. So it doesn't have to be used just to power the handicap door, but depending on what the customer wants, they can really use this device and put it on any doors and capture that energy and turn it back into the building management system, however they want to use that. But that's really kind of where it started with Ken's misfortunes.
What a story. Sky, tell me a little bit about what the competition was like. First of all, how did you get involved with this organization and this team? And what was the competition like? Were there challenges that the team faced?
Yeah, definitely. Some challenges, but I can tell you a little bit also how I got involved. So Ken's been a classmate of mine through the MBA program for the past 2 years, and I've also had the lovely benefit of getting to know Carrie as well. As she mentioned, the multiple scooter situations, Ken and I actually traveled on a school program to Berlin for 2 weeks last year. And so Ken was scootering all around Berlin. And so I lived that struggle with them for a little bit. So kind of one of those great moments of the GW grad program. We're sitting in the grad lounge and Ken's like, I think I'm in over my head. I'm starting this program. I entered the new venture competition. You're good at working on projects. Will you help me? And so I think that was, and I didn't hesitate to say yes. Loved working with Ken before, and I've had the chance to work with Carrie. She helped us out on our project a little bit last year too, and so it's been a great ride. Feel really lucky for my team. So kind of some of the challenges I would say that we faced in the competition is just kind of this overall topic that Ken and Carrie mentioned of the need to adapt as we've made our way through the progress. Through the competition, kind of started with this idea of the handicap doors and how do we power those, and now we're people-powered products. How can we capture everyday energy to store and use to really engage employees and businesses and really help promote sustainability as the future of business, everything that we do. So we've had a big adaptation throughout this process, and I think that's kind of a lot of that can be lent to the customer discovery piece that both Ken and Carrie mentioned. We've spent a lot of time really focused on getting to know who would be the end user, who would be the distribution partner, and how can we focus, what are their real needs and how can we solve them? We really focused on that and put a lot of time into that, and then reflected amongst ourselves and discussed how we can best adapt our product to meet those needs. And then also, I would say, working with the panel, the feedback panel, and the judges through the new venture competition, they've been great in providing feedback, as well as some of the mentors we've had. And one thing we've really kind of been able to adapt was initially we started thinking we could do this in 5 cities. And then Lex came to us and he's, halfway through the process and he's like, I think you can do 100 cities. So really being more aggressive and really getting that support behind our idea and having them help us think through it was both a challenge and a highlight, and being able to adapt to that. It's been a really great process.
Yeah, you all are referring to Lex McCusker from our Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship here at George Washington University. It's a fantastic research center that also supports our students and outreach to the entrepreneurship community in DC and really globally. It's a real point of pride of George Washington University, and it was so wonderful that they host this new venture competition, bringing students like you all from across campus, not just from the business school. Often the teams are mixed teams, as yours are, of students as well as outside entrepreneurs. So it really is I think it's a great testament to the entrepreneurial spirit at George Washington University. I think that there's going to be so many people watching this today that are entrepreneurs themselves or entrepreneur want-to-be. And you've had this incredible experience. You faced some challenges and overcome them. I'm really curious if you could sit down and really share a piece of advice based on your entrepreneurial experience thus far with someone like you that has an idea that they're thinking about taking to fruition. What would you say to them? Carrie, do you want to share first?
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to go first. So a big part for me in this had been scoping out the competition. So I think that that's really a big piece. Depending on how you're going about your entrepreneurship, it might look a little bit different. If you're in a competition like this, that became a really big key for us. We knew that the pitch was where we were going to win this. And when we were looking at what was going on and getting the feedback, one of the things that I was doing was also scoping out our competition and understanding, what did they have? Especially as we learned that most of the other finalists that were there, as well as in previous years, most finalists already had a business started, and we didn't. We had an idea. So we really had to make sure that our pitch could show what they weren't showing. It had to show our compassion. It had to show what we were really trying to accomplish, how strong our team was, and really all of the different ways that we were going to take this forward, because it was a new idea and not something that had already been proven. So it was really kind of understanding what those other teams were bringing, but then really being able to highlight why we should win this competition so that we could bring our idea forward. And I think that even if you weren't in a competition and you were just trying to do something for this outside of a competition, that's still good advice no matter what. I mean, you definitely want to scope out your competition in understanding, are there other people that are already in the market with a similar type of product? What are their goals? What really are you bringing that's different? What's going to set you apart and really make sure that people will stand behind you, especially because, you'll need the investors and so forth, and they're going to have either other people doing something similar they could invest in or just a whole other deal. And that's why it's very important that you understand who you're up against and what you can really bring to the table.
Well, those are important points. Scott, do you have anything you could add to that?
Yes, definitely. Kind of building off my point before about being lucky to have worked with Ken and Carrie previously, I think picking a team you trust and that you work well with is just one of the best assets you can have in getting into a new idea and venture, and just especially kind of all the challenges of switching to virtual. We weren't sure if the competition would still be going, but we were really able to continue to communicate and work together. This switch to virtual and finishing up online actually was pretty seamless for us, and we were still able to make that work. And that was, we had that working relationship previously and kind of remained good friends. It was nice to have somebody outside my home to talk to for an hour and a half every day during the competition. And so, but I think having a great team, it really makes a difference. So being mindful in who you join this big adventure with, because it's definitely you're, no matter what, you're biting more than you can chew, I guess, biting off more than you can chew. So it's definitely a big task. And
Yeah,
who you do with Matt.
very wise words. Very wise words. All right, Ken, those are hard acts to follow. What else do you have to add to that set of advice?
Sure. So I've got two that I can go with, and I'll kind of go a little bit off of Sky's for a moment if I could. And you got to also pick people that aren't afraid to challenge you. So there's no question, being married to Carrie for 10 years, she is not afraid to challenge me on anything. And Sky, the entire time, I mean, there were times absolutely where we disagreed on things, and we had to kind of convince each other between the three of us, what was the right course of action and what was the right direction to go in. So making sure that not only do you get along, but you can function kind of dysfunctionally at times is hugely important as well. And then in addition to that, for us, the market discovery process, I talked about it previously, but it's so important to choose the right method. And what I mean by that is when we started thinking about it, we were kind of faced with, we could send out surveys to a whole lot of people to get their opinion, or we could try to talk to a few people. And so what we ended up doing is we decided that talking to a few people was better for us. And the reason for that is with a survey, you can get kind of binary input, yes, no answers, maybe a little bit of a sliding scale, and you can include some comment boxes, but you don't get the same quality feedback that you can get when you talk to people. So what we said is, hey, we can do 1,000 people through the survey, or we can try to get 10 or 20 going and actually reaching out and talking to them in person. We ended up doing the second one where we talked to them in person, and that was hugely important for us because we were able to script out a bunch of questions and think we knew what we were going to ask. But what we found is we would ask maybe the first or second question to get the conversation started, and then we went in a totally different direction as we started talking to these folks. And that really drove the development of the product, the idea, all the iterations that we had really stemmed from those conversations, which I can guarantee with 100% certainty that we would not have gone down that road if we went the survey, just the regular fill in a survey and send it back to us route. So that would be my other piece. There are absolutely times where that survey is the right answer, but there's times where talking to people in person is the right answer, and you've got to be able to figure out which one's the right one for you.
Oh, yes. One of the things I care the most about, making sure you're using the right research tool in the toolkit for the purpose, something we talk an awful lot about in our research methods classes. Very, very great. Well, it's wonderful to hear those insights. I think they're very rich insights because they also talk about how important it is in terms of the entrepreneurial process, both inside the venture itself as well as outside. One of my really good entrepreneurial friends once said to me, you can really see a shadow of the entrepreneur, him or herself, in whatever venture, they create, because they put so much blood, sweat, and tears into what they actually create. I wonder if that's true for you all. Do you see this venture as somewhat of a reflection of your values, your experiences? Obviously, it was very personally connected to running around on a scooter and facing the challenges of that on an everyday experience. But is there anything beyond that that you can think of? I'm curious, Carrie, is there anything that you really sort of see really stands for me in this venture?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it definitely is. I think that's an accurate statement that your friend made. I mean, like Sky said, you kind of go into this and you really bite off more than you could chew. I don't think any of us really realized how much this was going to be. We had other jobs, other things going on, and this was also a full-time job. And you really get connected with it very quickly, and it does, become personal, and it's your product. And when we were developing it and really talking about it. And I think that's the huge value piece that I think connects with us, is that we were really trying to target that involvement from people and helping others. And as we look around with the things that are out there and the things we believe, we see that where people are just like, what more can I do? And I think especially in these times, it's very important for us to be coming up with ideas and ways that people can help each other and that we can make the world a better place. And so this idea, I think just for me, it definitely feels like that is ingrained in it. And I feel like that is what makes me so passionate about it and makes me so excited that we won, so that we can really try to bring this forward. And, it was when we did the new venture competition, it was People Powered Doors, but we started it as the company of People Powered Products because we do have other ideas and we really want to expand this beyond just the door mechanism, because we want to have that as a larger target of what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, that's beautifully put, and I think you're right. This type of a product is so needed right now for so many different reasons. Sky, what about yourself? Do you kind of see in this venture?
Yeah, well, that was a hard act to follow, Carrie. I think she said that very well in terms of, she definitely shared our vision and, very well put our vision and kind of how passionate we ended up all being about sustainability. And the more we researched it and kind of saw how, pre-COVID and everything, that it was really, the biggest drive of business. And so I think we were all excited about where this could lead, and doing that research on what matters to companies and kind of keeping an eye on that kind of came from current events and we've been studying in business school. But when I think specifically about what I was able to bring to People Powered Products, and from my personal experience managing finances with smaller organizations and my time at GW Business School in the MBA program, doing the investment certificate, I was able to kind of build a really comprehensive financial model. And, this is a little on the nitty gritty, but as we've made so many adaptations from 5 cities to 100, and, we're just going to do a door to, are we manufacturing it ourselves? We were able to adapt that. And I think that was something that I was really happy to be able to contribute and find a way that we can kind of constantly take what our customers need, what we envision for the product, what we think the world needs, and be able to kind of adapt and quickly make those changes and see what those projections and forecasts would be, so that we can still keep this idea alive. So I was happy to contribute that. I see myself in it a little bit, I guess, but really just finding a tool to keep all of our ideas a reality.
That's wonderful. All right, Ken, is there anything else that you want to add to that story?
They make it tough on me sometimes. I mean, so I can tell you for sure, Carrie shorted herself a little bit, and it kind of went more on the driving in on the philanthropic side of things, but her creative side also hugely contributed to this, especially in the pitch itself. So if I were doing it, it would have been a bunch of white slides with black text on it. So she was able to really kind of take the ideas of the team and put them into something that was appealing to people. And not just like a memo that was going out. So don't let her kid you on that. She had a lot of herself in there in other ways as well. And Sky was dead on with that financial background. One of the reasons that I reached out to her. From my perspective, I would say my only real contribution was the fact that I'm a little bit of a tinkerer, meaning that I will take apart any one of my kids' toys in an attempt to put it back together, mostly the wrong way. But I just love to play with stuff. So, I'll build anything. I'll try to build anything, and just working with new ideas and things like that. I love getting involved in creating things. And so this was obviously kind of a genesis of an idea that really has a lot of far reaching impacts, but really kind of appealed to that piece to me of, bringing something to life from, some metal, a bunch of different pieces, things that weren't typically related to each other, and creating something out of that. So that was the piece of myself that I saw in it. And of course, all the stuff that they said is 100% accurate as well.
Well, that is just so great, and you can see even in the conversation here, just the relationship, the bond that really the three of you have after going through this experience, and it's really truly very inspiring. All right, Sky, you told us about the competition, and we mentioned winning. Why don't you tell us a little bit more? What did you win? What was that winning experience like, and what's next?
Yeah, great. So we won the New Venture Trek first place prize, and then I don't know if I can say it correctly. We also won the prize for clean energy. There's a total term that I'm forgetting at the moment, so please forgive me. And then we also were able to win some in-kind legal counsel, which is great because our product needs a patent. So has been a huge help as well. And then kind of what the process of winning was like. It was not the big award show that they've done in the past, but they actually did a really nice online ceremony where the announcer had his wife setting off confetti and streamers when they announced the winners in his home. So they did a really nice job adding some enthusiasm. And I think I speak for the whole team when I say we're really grateful that a lot of our classmates, our professors, our mentors, our family, friends, kind of all joined in the live ceremony to congratulate us, encourage us. They were just as enthusiastic, and it would be remiss of me not to thank them for their kind of constant support that we've had through this process. The team's done a lot, but we've also had a lot of really great friends and classmates and family members who've contributed and supported us along the way. So it was really nice, even though we were all virtual, to be able to do sort of a FaceTime cheers to celebrate and kind of be excited, even though we're all stuck at home. That was really nice to have that moment. In terms of what's next, we've kind of been working, as I mentioned, we were able to get the patent counsel. So we've been working on our patent, setting up the bank account, getting incorporated, all those kind of administrative things that we're doing a lot of research on and kind of figuring out what's the best course forward. So we're excited about the next steps, and I think we have a design process as well. So we're really moving forward. I don't know, Ken or Carrie, if there's anything you want to add.
Sure, yeah. So if you listen closely to the award-winning video, probably a few seconds afterwards, because there was a delay, you can actually hear Carrie in the background scream. That was not the guy's wife who was doing the presentation, adding like cheering effects. That was actually Carrie's real-life excitement. So if you have time, go back, watch that. It's pretty funny.
It was
Sorry,
great.
Carrie.
It was funny. That's
Wow.
the by parts of virtual stuff is there was delay from all of us watching it on different videos.
Well, I have to tell you, this whole story has been so uplifting for all of us that have been watching it. You guys have been an inspiration for me, and I know for many of your colleagues in the Graduate School of Business here. We're just so very proud of your work, your heart, your creativity, and the way you've been able to apply what you've learned in the classroom to something I think that is really very meaningful, and now expanded it from this one singular sort of experience to the idea to the team, and now to not just one product, but maybe a whole line of products that I think is really very much needed right now for so many reasons. Thank you guys so much for joining me today in our George Talks Business here. I wish we had more time, but I know that many of our audience members will see you as the inspiration that we all do. So I would like to thank all of you who joined us today and invite you to be on the lookout for more announcements about our special summer George Talks Business series. We look forward to staying connected during the summer and hope to see you right here back very soon.